Hi everyone, welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron,
I'm Ben.
and we are very excited to be joined by Brooke Bundy, Tiffany Helm, and Nyle Cavazos Garcia today. Welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
all
you
for
for
Thank
having
coming.
you.
us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming
Thanks.
on.
Yeah.
We can't wait to chat with you all. So we have you all here because there is an exciting new project you're going to be working on, and that is called Catnip, a Christmas horror movie. Hopefully, I can say that at this point. I have a quick summary I want to read. Trapped in an apartment building on Christmas Eve, an eclectic group of residents must band together to survive the night against a horde of feral killer cats. How fantastic does that sound?
I'm in.
Doesn't get better than that.
I'm in.
Yes, agreed. And yes. And I do love Christmas movies, so you've got my attention. Count me in. Before we get to that, though, I do want to do a few introductions. So, Brooke Bundy, you are an actress and producer, a legend in your own right. Horror fans will know you as Elaine Parker from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, two of my favorites in the franchise. You've also been on you starred in many other movies and series. I've got Star Trek: The Next Generation, Explorers, I love that movie, Mod Squad, My Three Sons, Lassie, Mission Impossible,
Awesome.
and even a Brady Bunch episode. How cool is that, just to name a few? Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah.
Name here. And then, Tiffany, you are an actress and producer. You starred in Friday the 13th, Part 5 as Violet, The New Beginning as Violet. So, horror fans watching will recognize you from that film. You've also appeared in 13 Fanboy, In the Tall Grass, Come True, which I really liked. Come True, that was a great film. 21 Jump Street, Freddy's Nightmares, Reform School Girls, and The Zoo Gang, just to name a few. And what's amazing is that you Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street on your resume. Most very few can say that, I think. So welcome. Thanks for joining today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And then, yes, you're welcome. Thank you. And then lastly, Nyle, you are the writer and director and producer of Catnip. So, of course, we're happy to have you on. You directed The Last Ride, Houston and Six, A Long Road, Bleeding, and The Dark. Again, just to name a few. We can't wait to see your new film. So thank you so much for joining us and for all of you for coming on. Ben, why don't I stop talking and turn it over to you for the first question?
Yeah. My question would be to Brooke, Nyle, and Tiffany. How did you all meet? How did it come around this movie?
Oh,
How
Ben,
do we meet, Tiff?
I forgot to tell you that
Oh
Brooke
yes,
is Tiffany's mother.
yeah. I mean,
I understand the intent.
Brooke, how did you meet? No, yeah, sorry.
In a hospital a long time ago in Glendale, California. My memory is a little fuzzy for that time of my life, but it was a good experience. Little jarring, but
We can maybe we'll edit that out. Or maybe
no, it's
Oh, I
funny.
love it. I
I
love
love
it.
it, and I
Yeah.
totally get the intent.
That's actually the most silly I've ever felt on this channel. Well, there you go.
But Mom, you wanna take that question? Is I believe that's including Nile in that one, right?
Yeah. For both of you, how did you come about to meet? Oh, there you go. That's fair.
I wasn't there when Brooke and Tiffany met.
I'm glad you weren't.
I'm gonna go.
You're asking how the three of us met, or how I met Brooke and
How it
Tiffany?
all came around.
how did it all come that you'd work on Catnip together? That you're going to be working on Catnip together, right?
Yes. Brooke, do you want to answer this one?
Well, we have a mutual friend, Lisa, and Lisa kind of turned me on to this project and connected me with Nile. And I was invited to see a short that he had done called The Last Ride, and went out to the valley and watched with a bunch of other shorts and sat in the theater. And I thought, oh my God, this is really good. I mean, it's really, really good. So, when the opportunity to sign on to Catnip arose, I was really, really happy to be part of it. At first, I was a little worried because it has to do with kitty cats. And there are a lot of people in the world that don't like kitty cats. And this might give them an excuse to kill kitty cats. So I thought, I don't know, I don't know. And then Nyle reassured me. He said, "Oh, there's just so many people that don't like cats anyway. It's okay. Won't make a difference." So I said, "Okay, okay. I think I'll do it." And then I read the script and it was just it's so good. And I love Alice. I love Alice. She's just a wonderful character, and just a lot of fun. So that's that.
And I remember I mean a lot of people who hear the concept are concerned about us antagonizing cats or about cats being targeted. It's it is a straight up scary horror movie. Hopefully, at least that's the way we're going to intend. That's the way we intend to film it. But we're very animal, friend. We're cat friendly. We're adopting cats. We're rescuing them, and well, our animal trainer is. And there's a cat sanctuary that they live at with our animal trainer Cheryl in Riverside, California. So the cats are being loved. Actually, we have photos every time I get a photo of the cats in training. They're so adorable and sweet. I don't know how we're gonna make them into little monsters. But the movie is really, it's not like advocating to hurt cats. It's pretend. It's not based on any kind of factual anything. It's like Gremlins, but with cats. We're using puppets and animatronics for most of the attack sequences. We are using live animals as well, but the cats are gonna probably have more fun than the people are on the set, I think.
Brilliant. So you were just saying, I just want to get this out for you. You're just saying that the cats are all fine and everything, and I would like to say, if you do end up watching this film, please don't hurt any cats or
Thank you.
Yes,
to any animals, because
absolutely.
yeah, in the past we've seen how films with animals have affected around the world. So yeah, just want to say that.
Well, after you watch Catnip, go out and adopt a cat.
Oh, I love
Good
that
idea.
idea.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Although I already have three, so I don't know if I can take on another one. Let's see. So with Catnip, Nyle, how did you get the idea for this film, and was it always going to be set around Christmas?
I got the idea. Well, I was
Excuse me.
looking for a killer. I was looking for a killer cat movie. I had a But all right, so I saw a scene in a movie that was Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. There's like a sequence in
Oh, I
there where
love that
there's
movie. Yeah.
zombie cats inside of this old lady's apartment, and it's just this crazy attack sequence, and it was so
Mhm.
funny. I thought, like, why isn't there a whole movie about that? There's been, like monster or creature features about every other animal, but just not cats that I could remember. So I started doing some research, and there really isn't a lot. I mean, there are a lot of horror movies with cats, but not where cats are like the antagonists. Not like Critters, but with cats, or a Piranha, but with cats, or a Cujo, but with cats. So I thought that would be a fun movie to watch. That's kind of where I start. So I started writing the script, um, and then I let it go for a while. But when Last Ride came out, somebody was asking me if I had any projects, and that one just like it came out of my mouth. And the producer that I was talking to said, "Oh, that sounds really great. That's very original. Send it to me." But I had only written maybe 18 pages at that point. So I had to sit down. I asked them to give me 2 weeks, and then I just like
Wow.
vomited out the script. But I had already kind of played it in my mind so many times, it just kind of came out. Yeah, that's kind of where it originated from. I think I wrote the script probably about a month before before I sent it to Brooke. It was very, very new.
Wow,
So,
2 weeks. That's impressive.
yeah,
Yeah.
normally when I write that quickly, I know that this is the project I have to do next.
Mm.
Has it changed much since you started writing it? And do you think it will change a little more by the end of production? And
I'm sure it will grow and become more organic on set. Most films normally do when I'm making them. I kind of like let the movie live. But it didn't. It was never a Christmas movie. I wrote the first draft. It was set on New Year's Eve. because I didn't want it to be too close to Gremlins because I was pulling a lot of inspiration from Gremlins.
Mm.
And then once I had my development producer on board, he suggested moving it to Christmas. And he's like, why not make another Gremlins? It's been 30 years plus, or
Mm.
has it been that long? So I reset it at Christmas time, and it made it a lot stronger. I think it's just so much more fun to read, and it's going to be so much more fun to make because I also love Christmas movies.
Yes, me too. Christmas horror movies, especially.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
love
that'll give it
Gremlins.
even. Go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
I'm saying I love Gremlins. I'm already sold.
But the advantage of a Christmas horror movie is that it'll have much more longevity too. So every year, new audiences will find it and revisit it. I guess let's see. My question is for Brooke and Tiffany. What was it about the screenplay that appealed to you? So Brooke, you're playing Alice, and Tiffany, you are Officer Garcia, I believe. So two very different roles. It sounds like. What was it about the idea and the script that appealed to you?
Tiff, do you want to go first?
Sure. Um, it's really, really well written, and that's like the first thing that I'm going to look for. Of course, the idea is new and different, which is always a shock with reading any script because it's basically, and Hollywood keeps rehashing the same old. I mean, not to say there aren't the same like horror tropes and such in this film, but they're presented in such a way where it's, I mean, obviously, and it's with cats, so it's different, and there's um, enough humor in it
Mhm.
that it really balances the horror. So it's kind of got everything in it, and that was really appealing. I talked to my mom about this was before I saw Last Ride, but talking to her about Nyle and his vision and what probably where he was going, and I was like, this sounds great. And again, my mom's in it, so I wanted to just support it any way I could. The casting was an afterthought because I figured everything had been cast already. But just connecting to the film, I mean, this is something that I've kind of been not aggressively shopping for a couple of years, but the idea of getting involved in an indie film um, from the bottom up has really been appealing to me. But most of the scripts that I've been reading were just kind of like, yeah, they just not quite there, and I'm willing to I'm willing to work on a film where the script isn't something that I love. I've done it before. But this was like something that I'm like, I can get behind 1,000%. And I just wanted to show up for whatever was needed and however I could help, both for supporting my mom and for a project that I am just really passionate about.
That's fantastic. I wish
Yeah.
it was already filmed and ready to watch right now.
Me
Me
too.
too.
Me too.
Soon enough.
So, this is for Tiffany Amber. You were just saying about how Hollywood sort of is basically churning out the same sort of movies, remakes. What are both of your thoughts on all of the remakes and basically just recycling all these kind of ideas? Just just keeping it going, really. What are your proper thoughts on that? Sorry.
I can actually speak to that. Just some of the recent thing that I watched. I watched a Netflix show, Black Doves, which is a crime thriller, and it shot out of the UK.
I did see
So
that, yes.
the difference, and again, I love crime thrillers, absolutely love them. They can be very, very predictable. I mean, I can figure out who done it probably from the beginning. There's a lot of the
Right.
same characters, but there was something about this that made it so, I mean, the acting is absolutely amazing. I don't know what they do with the actors there, but they just like I'm just blown away. So they took
Mhm.
this story, which is kind of predictable, and they they just absolutely breathe life into it. So I mean, I think, and I feel the same way about covering songs. Either you stick like exactly to it, like note for note, or you make it yours and you go out there and you take a huge chance. So I'm not opposed to remakes. Still want to see. I haven't seen Nosferatu yet, but I'm
Oh, it's so
fans of
good.
everybody
Yeah.
that's involved in it. I know Nile had a
So
different
good.
opinion, but that's Nile.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What is he know? He's just a horror director and writer. Um, but anyway, but some remakes work really well, and some of them, again, just
Well,
it's a delicate ring to step into. You've got to own it, right? And take those chances, and sometimes those chances don't work very well. But again, I'm not opposed to it. They're also, the classics that I don't think should be touched. Don't remake
Yes.
Gone with the Wind. Just
please,
just
Leave
don't.
it. Leave it as is.
Miracle
Yeah.
on 34th Street. I was like, ooh,
Mm.
it's like some of them just off the table. But again, I guess I applaud filmmakers for if they take that chance. It's like it's all about taking chances and risk.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't
like
suppose with
Nightmare on
Nosferatu.
Elm Street.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ben.
yeah, that was no. I was going to say with Nosferatu, the first one, the original was like a silent movie, so you could remake that, I suppose, with a different. But yeah, I do understand what you're saying with a lot of movies. I've heard a lot of whispers of certain films being remade, and I think it'd ruin it. So,
Mom, sorry, I didn't want to step on your answer on that.
no, that's okay. I mean, I, the first thing I think of when I hear about a movie that is being redone is, doesn't anybody have any new ideas? I mean,
yeah,
so that's why at Niles, I mean, this is a great new idea. And of course, we're going to have Catnip 1, Catnip 2, Catnip 3, done by other people.
Yes.
And other people who have seen this Catnip will go, God, what's wrong with people? So yes, I love the idea. And again, going back to Last Ride, again, a very original idea based on a true story, which is like, what? Um, so Niall can tell you more about that, but it's yeah, that's the first thing I think of. And the thing of it is I mean, you sit there and you compare, and actually the movie that is the remake probably would be good on its own, but you
yeah,
just sit there in a dark movie theater and go, oh no, you don't, no, she didn't say it like that. It's like
Yeah.
I actually saw Exorcist 2, and I was happy to see two of the original. Ellen Burstyn, of course, she's just so wonderful, and Linda, who's just such a lovely human being. But it was really a disappointment, and I was sort of prepared to be disappointed because it is one of my favorite horror movies. Is that The Exorcist? Um, but it's what they do is they pump them out, and people pay to see them, and the beat goes on.
Yeah.
Brooke, I am
Exactly.
now your biggest fan. I do. I really agree with you on all that kind of. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts on it now with remakes and?
I'm torn. They don't bother me. I know that I can kind of understand that they're trying to maybe like reconnect the franchise to a younger audience or something. I mean, a lot of people they see they don't know that Texas Chainsaw Massacre from the 90s or early 2000s, whenever that came out,
Early to that. Yeah.
isn't
03, I think.
like the first one. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre someone knows because they were born, way past the 70s. For me, I grew up watching all of that stuff. So when the remakes come around, I want to watch them, and I try not to compare. I just want to see kind of like what Tiffany was saying. I want to see a brand new take on it. Or an improvement. And I don't think that you can remake certain movies and improve on them. I think a lot of it is just exploitative almost. Maybe it's just a money grab for the studios want to like, hey, let's revive. What's the next horror franchise that's being remade? Well, Scream actually. Scream like invigorated the genre, and then
Yes.
2 decades later they just like rebooted themselves.
They brought it all back, and yeah, Scream in the '90s brought horror back. It was kind of in a downward spiral back then.
And that one didn't bother me. That the reboot of that, I mean, it wasn't really a
Yeah.
remake. I think that's kind of maybe like the gray area. People are creating a reboot, forgetting all the sequels in between and making, Exorcist 2 when there's actually like what, 5 of those.
Yeah, ignoring all the others.
Yeah, just
Well,
pretend like,
Halloween did the same thing. The Halloween
yeah.
reboot, they ignored all the other sequels.
And then
But they're
Halloween fell into the same trap that the first Halloween did, and the sequels that it made weren't as good as their like original or their rebooted original.
yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but I think that horror fans, at the end of the day, I don't think we really care. I think we just want more. I just want more Freddy Krueger. I want more Michael Myers. I want more Jason Voorhees. If there's another one that comes out, I'm gonna go see it. I went to the opening night of Freddy versus Jason because I love
Me
both
too.
of those
Me too.
franchises.
Yeah.
And I walked out and I'm like, I don't know if it was a good movie or not, but I really, really liked it. So I think
Yeah,
that's
but it was amazing. Yeah, I saw that in the theater too, and I had a lot of fun with it.
I had to rewatch it and then decided that I really like it
And
because
it's still
it's
fun
so
now.
much fun.
Yeah, yeah. Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, I think what was so, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I think what was so great about that one is that they were true to the original, but they also amped it up. They amped up the kills, they amped up the storyline, and it just worked. And the cast was phenomenal. Um, yeah, but anyway, so Niall, I have a question for you. So there are some great names tied to your film. In addition to Brooke and Tiffany, we've got some horror legends, Jake Busey and Toy Newkirk. So congratulations on getting them involved. There's also Charlotte Kirk, Christian Calloway, and Jeffrey Arend. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Just to name a few. So what would you say is so exciting about your film that has garnered such um, interest from actors who want to be involved with it? So kind of a similar question for Tiffany and Brooke, but flipping it from a director-writer perspective.
Somebody asked me very recently. I was talking to a producer, and he was like asking me what the trick was, or like how did you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think that the cast of Catnip would be as big and as amazing as it is because the project is really small. It's a very low budget horror movie. It's only my third feature, and 20 years between my first feature and this one. So I've just been directing a lot of shorts in between and working on other people's movies. I was an editor for a long time. This is probably the 30th completed feature screenplay that I've written. I've optioned between 2004 when my first movie was out and this one. So 20 years later, I wrote 30 scripts, I optioned, I think 14 of them. Nothing ever got produced. And people loved the scripts. I just couldn't get them off the ground. I don't know what it was. And with this one,
too bad.
Yeah, it makes people like, I can understand how creative people just like it up. You're just like, that's 20 years later, I'm just going to do something else. But I'm not that person. I don't give up. This is my passion and my life.
Awesome. Well, the time is right, I think. So.
I think so too. I'm going to be, I don't know if I should say it, but I'm going to be 50 this year.
Hey, you're still a child.
I'm not far off, man. I hear you. I hear you.
So, and I had always said, by the time I was 50, I had like this whole mapped out career for myself. And I just wanted, since I was a little kid, to make an inspirational horror movie for the next generation. And I think this might actually be it. Yeah. I think, I rewatch Ed Wood every time I'm prepping for a movie, the Johnny Depp Tim Burton movie from 1994, I think. I rewatch that every time I'm prepping for a movie because that guy's passion and authenticity, the character, Ed Wood, it's so like inspirational for anyone who has ever been told no. He's just so enthusiastic and he just wants to make movies, and that's just been my entire life. So I think that exists in my script. It has to, because the script goes out and then people want to be a part of it. People that I'm Brooke and Tiffany, I've never worked with before. And I felt when they came on the project, I was really I was just honored. And since then, we've cast so many great actors, just like Tiffany and Brooke. And every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is amazing because people want to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the script. And I've poured a lot into it. So
awesome.
So
yeah, that's a great answer.
Yeah, sorry, Aaron.
Go ahead.
as a writer director and stuff. And you were saying you are quite up for more Friday the 13th, more Nightmare on Elm Street. If given the chance, which franchise would you like a stab at more? Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street?
Which one would I want to
Yeah, which one would you like to, yeah. Obviously they both be an honourable film too, but which would you go for?
Yeah.
I hold A Nightmare on Elm Street very close to me. That franchise kind of developed me as a storyteller.
Yeah.
And if I had the opportunity to be a part of one of those on the creative side of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I would definitely jump at it. I actually wrote a Freddy versus Jason script before the movie came out, because I heard that they were going to make it when they finally announced that the two parent companies, I don't know how they were able to like get both franchises together, and they announced they were going to make it. Mm-hmm. I knew somebody who knew somebody at New Line, so I wrote a script on spec, and I was only 25
Wow.
or 26 years old.
Wow, cool.
It was before I directed my first feature. I'd only directed a short, but I knew that I know those franchises so well that I could tell this story, and I still have that script. But if I had to pick, and it's a hard choice, it would definitely be Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you think your script would have been better than what we ended up getting? Yes, that's awesome. Well, speaking of speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah, that's funny. Brooke, when you signed on to be part of Nightmare on Elm Street, did you have any idea of how huge the franchise was and what it would become, and that people would still be talking with you today, how many years later, about your role in that film?
It still amazes me. I mean, to this day, I'm going to be doing 3 conventions this year so far.
Cool.
But it is still it's the gift that keeps giving. I mean, it's just amazing. And I was completely and totally ignorant of what I was getting myself into. I mean, completely. I didn't know from Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't know from Freddy Krueger. I didn't know from anything. It was a job. It's just a job.
Yeah.
And again, my agent had to talk me into it because I didn't want to be part of something that someone sitting in a dark movie theater would watch Freddy Krueger, murder someone and say, "Hey, that looks like fun," and then go out and do it themselves. So I thought, I don't want that karma. But my agent, bless her heart, talked me into it. And I found myself really so engaged with the movie and really caring about my fellow actors so much. We really became like a little family. And in fact, Toy Newkirk's mother was my best friend. And I say was because she's since passed. And I represented Toy as an actress. So I also represented Andras as an actor. Yeah. And Tuesday and I talk a lot. So we're and Ken Sagos and the whole gang. Lisa, I'm not as close to Amanda, but whenever we see each other, we're really happy to see each other. It's just such a wonderful group. And Heather, I know I'm forgetting people, but we're really tight. And I know when we sit side by side at a convention and fans approach us, they look at all of us and they're just so happy to see all of us together and see us having interchanges with each other and laughing and sharing pictures and really there's a wonderful camaraderie with all of us. And Robert Englund he's just such a doll. So it's really I know I'm being effusive, but it deserves to be effusive. It's a wonderful franchise and a wonderful group of people, so talented.
Oh, that's fantastic. And let us know what conventions you're going to be at, because
I will let you know
in the description, and hopefully you'll be coming to Massachusetts, maybe. But
I
yeah,
wish.
let me know.
I wish. I used to go to Boston a lot. I love Boston. And I know that I was at the pier throwing tea into the ocean, saying no taxation without representation. I was there. I was one of those. I had a three-cornered hat on and I was screaming. So that was in a past
Cool.
life. But I love Boston.
Nice, nice. Well, Ben, before I let you jump in, Tiffany, I guess the same question for you. Because, I mean, that was a fantastic answer. Being part of the Friday the 13th franchise, I mean, you came in part five, so it was a little bit more underway by that point. But what was that like? And did you think that people would still be talking about your role in that film? Probably, I think Violet is one of the most memorable characters in
Yeah.
all the films. Did you think that people would still be talking about it today? And will you be at any conventions? I guess would be my last question.
Okay. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think any of us saw this coming. Like the first horror con that I was involved in, I don't even remember what year it was, and they were very small. And I think they were really just started for actors like us who aren't, A-listers
Hmm.
to earn some money and to meet fans. I don't even remember who really started it, but it's like I was on pretty early. And it's grown into this huge thing, the
Mhm.
conventions, and now you have all these A-lists. I'm like, hey, that wasn't made for you. Um, but it's really amazing to see what has what has happened with this, particularly like the 80s and 90s horror. And you see like these families with little kids at the conventions, and the little kids are huge fans of it. Um, and I mean, based on the stuff that's out now, I mean, the special effects were very different then, so it doesn't seem as harsh for the youngins to be watching this.
Mhm.
I'm like, 'cause some of this
Mhm.
stuff now, I mean, I think our our youngest, he watched Exorcist, I think, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, 6 years ago, and he was like laughing through the whole thing. He's like, this is so ridiculous. And I'm like, this is like classic horror. I do bring up Alien though, because it's like,
Oh,
that
right.
was, I mean, it was
Mhm.
1978, 79. Nile, you probably know that.
I think 79,
And
right around
that
there. Yeah.
holds up like,
Mhm.
I mean, it holds up. I would say of all the horror, that one is
Yeah.
like, I watch it and it's still just a masterpiece. Um, but no, I didn't. We didn't see this coming. And of course, in Violet, I mean, I went in and was totally wrong for the character, but my agent was kind of desperate and just sending me in on like anything where there was someone alternative. Because when I started the business, I did not have an alternative look. I was going for very mainstream Hollywood.
Mhm.
A very slim, blonde, just like
Gorgeous.
very
Gorgeous.
but waspy looking, right?
Mhm.
And I, after doing a couple films, and I just went this other direction completely. And my agent was just like, "Oh my God, what do I do? You and your chartreuse hair." I'm like, "That's not a thing. Nobody does chartreuse hair. They didn't back then. Now they do, of course." I'm like, "That's not what my hair is. Look up the word." Um, and I mean, he would send me like Sid and Nancy sent me out for, and again, I was not right for that, but anything that was off, slightly
Mhm.
off, edgy. So that's
Yeah.
how I got sent in for Friday. And again, she was written as this like Pat Benatar hard body type, and I was not that. Um, so, but it's actually happened to me a few times where I haven't been, the breakdown for the role is I'm not, I just did one today and it's totally, the
Right.
breakdown's totally different. And I'm like, but they wanted to see me. So I'm like, I'm going for it.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh,
and
cool.
as
I
far
hope it
as
works out.
conventions, oh yeah,
Mhm.
well, we'll see. We'll see. Just throw that spaghetti against the wall.
Of
Um,
course.
but with conventions, I actually am connected with somebody uh, now who I think it might be going forward. Nothing's been there are a few things that I've had verbal like yes, 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 but there hasn't been any paperwork, so I don't announce it until it's official. So, I mean, one thing I can tell you though, I'll
Awesome.
probably be at the Calgary Horror Con, which I want to say is in May, and I'm not positive of that, but I believe I'm going to be doing that one. And then we hope after we get this film in the can, as they say, that we're going to be able
Okay.
to go to conventions with Catnip, because that would
Yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah.
That's the
Indeed.
plan, man.
Excellent. Well, we do have some this or that questions, but Ben, I want to turn it back to you to see if you have any other questions.
I'm just going to ask Tiffany, where did the dance come from?
Oh yeah, was there a
The legendary
choreographer?
dance.
Yes.
No, nothing like that. Um, it was that was actually a kind of dance that a few of us were doing at the New Wave Club that I went to. They had a New Wave night, and I mean there was all the kids doing, and it was an all ages. It was back then when there were like the all ages clubs, which were awesome. They didn't serve alcohol, and we just
Oh yeah. Yes.
we were little hoodlums. Um, but we were in a safe space, so it was good. It kind
Right.
of kept us off the streets. But I went there, and there was this guy who did this dance to Real Life's Send Me an Angel, because there were two podiums there, and he did this whole, and I was just like, I was absolutely mesmerized. I'm like, I don't know if it's I
Oh,
love that
cool.
guy or I love that dance, but I need to know this. So I started practicing it in the mirror at home, and got pretty good at it, and started doing it at the club. And I had like 5 or 6 songs that were my songs. People cleared the way, get on the podium and do my dance. And people like loved it. And I mean, and then a few years later, when I did Friday, and they had that, I was supposed to be doing exercises in my room and getting cut up the middle with a machete. And they did the makeup like that. And producer Mancuso's like, not happening, not getting past the ratings board. So they had to do a very, very fast rewrite. And I didn't think Violet would be exercising. Like I was a little chunky and I was a little like, whatever, like, exercise. I'd be dancing, right? That seemed more along Violet's persona. Yes. They agreed. Again, I had lots of autonomy. You may hear different from different people who were involved in that project, but I had a lot of autonomy on it. And I think it's because I was so different than what the original role asked for. They kind of let me just run with whatever. They let me pick out my wardrobe. They let me do my thing. So I was like, yeah, I'd be dancing. And then I tried this like just strange, just rockin' dance that, I don't want to say Elaine Bennis style, but that's kind of the direction. It was not very interesting and it wasn't very good, but it was what I thought they wanted. And I don't know how it came about. If I just started like doing it kind of like, like, I don't know, check this out, without being like, hey, check me out. I was just kind of like, yeah, check this out. And they loved it. So we let it roll on that. And then as far as the song, that just kind of came about because I was listening to like a lot of Sisters of Mercy, Cure, Bauhaus, Susie, and all of those songs, as cool and alternative and obscure as I thought they were, all were really hard to get a hold of for being released.
Licensing, of course.
Thank you. Licensing. Sorry, brain goes away sometime. And that Pseudo Echo song, nobody had heard of them. I mean, I had the album, I loved the album, and that song worked perfectly. So I brought the song in, and I don't know if it was that they said, hey, can you give us some music or something? Because it wasn't their idea. None of that was their idea. They were totally on board with it. And it's crazy because that dance is like this iconic thing. And you just look on YouTube and people ask me to do conventions. And I'm just like, again, who knew? Like, you just never know how this stuff is going to land.
Yeah.
So that's the long version.
Cool.
The answer to your question about that dance.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I think, oh no, I think Ben might be frozen. So let's jump right into this or that. This is kind of fun, or should be fun. We basically just ask you 2 things and you just pick one or the other. Pretty easy. So first up, we have to go with this one. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Both.
Both. Okay, I like both. It's funny you both picked dogs. All right, let's see. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956 or 1978? The remake.
78.
78.
Yeah, I would say 78.
78 is so good, right? I wanted to ask this one with Ben on. He's frozen. He'll
Oh,
come back. We'll come back to it. Slashers or ghost stories?
Oh,
Those stories.
slashers.
Slashers. Yeah, I'd probably go with slashers too. Ben, when you jump back on, I don't know if you can hear me. Let's see, go on a cruise or stay at a resort?
Resort.
Am I back?
Resort.
Yeah,
You're back, yes.
Am I back?
cruises are terrifying.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
you're
what
back.
happened.
You're back
I
now.
might go.
God, we're having all
It's
these
terrible.
technical issues today. We're
Yeah.
just going through this or that.
Okay.
Ben, I've got to ask this one: soccer or football?
Football. I can't do any of these. My battery's gone on my phone, so I don't know what
Oh,
they
okay,
are.
okay.
Isn't it the same thing?
They are
Is
the same thing.
Yeah.
The same thing.
football or
Same
football?
thing.
American football or football? Anyway, we'll skip that one. Let's see. Cat People 1942 or 1982?
82.
82.
42.
42. Okay, good, good. Rocky Horror Picture Show or Phantom of the Paradise?
Phantom.
Rocky.
I haven't seen Phantom of the Paradise.
Okay. Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
If you watch it once, man, you'll be listening to the music for days. At least
I will have
that's-
to watch it, but I don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, well then,
The other one.
then the other one. Okay, Phantom of the Paradise.
and I'll have to, after you see that now, I'll have to tell you a story because I knew Paul for a long time. So I'll have to tell you about that because it's,
cool.
I'm dying to know what you think of Phantom because that's near and dear to my heart.
It's so good. Yeah.
So good. So good.
So good. I'm with you on that. Ben, are you back? Do you want to jump in or do you want me to keep?
I can. I've got no battery.
Okay, I'll keep going. All right. Aliens or werewolves?
Aliens.
Mm,
Although Werewolf of London, that's a hard one.
It all depends on how they're presented. There's some really great aliens and some really crappy ones and some really wonderful
That's
werewolves
true.
and some not so great werewolves.
That's true.
yeah.
Yes.
I can't decide that either. I'm leaning towards werewolves.
Okay.
I think I've seen more bad alien movies than I have bad werewolf movies.
There's definitely more bad alien movies out there. Let's see, Freddy or Jason? I had to ask.
Ready.
Ready.
Freddy, yep.
Even
And
Tiffany.
then last, even Freddy. Lastly, we always ask this: Halloween '78 or Jaws?
Jaws.
Dogs.
One of these times, someone's going to pick Halloween.
Well, I can qualify that by
That's
saying
it.
there could be an age thing because
True.
I was the Jaws generation. I mean, that was so I wasn't the Halloween generation. Like there's a whole thing written about the Jaws generation that David
That was
Fincher
great.
produced. It was on Netflix. It was like a 3-part cinematic essay thing. And there was a whole, it's really, really cool, the Jaws generation. So I would say if I was at that same age when Halloween came out and saw it, that might have been then I might say Halloween.
Can I tell you a story?
Please do.
Definitely.
So Tiff was going to fancy French school, and she had all these friends who had seen Jaws, and she wanted to see Jaws. And I was really a protective mom. So I said, there's no way you're going to see Jaws. Absolutely not. So, please, I've got to see Jaws, please. Because no one would talk to her in school. I mean, she was being totally ostracized. And she was like,
no.
how old were you? Like 7?
I don't know. We don't talk about my
Oh,
things.
good point. Good point. Anyway, so I finally relented, and she was going to go with one of her little friends, I think Melissa. And I said, okay, but here's the deal. If in the middle of the night you wake up and you call me out and you say, Mommy, I'm not coming in, you're going to stay in your bed. Okay, that's a deal. So in the middle of the night, Mommy. So I went into her room, got into bed with her and held her. She was shaking. She was so scared. So
no.
that's my Jaws story with my daughter, who I met in the delivery room.
Yes. Did
I
you
just
go on
showed
a?
Jaws.
I'm not going to let that go, Ben.
I just showed Jaws to my kids. I, I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they're also asking to see it. Well, they kind of pick whatever movie they want to watch because I probably have like 5,000 digital copies. I have behind, well, you can't see it's blurred out, but behind me are
Wow.
the bookshelves of movies. Kind of like Aaron's.
Yes, and Ben too.
Not
I'm
as
sorry,
organized though.
I'm a little obsessive about it.
Oh,
Let's see.
it's
Well,
gone. But so they've been asking to see Jaws, and they want to see it, and they wanted to see it, but I kept telling them that you're not going to like it. It's really slow. It's all about the story. You don't see the shark until the end. Like I was trying to like deter them from it, and we finally watched it for Halloween because we picked it at one of the movies they wanted. Every night in October we watch a horror movie, so they picked Jaws. So I made them watch it, and they both loved it. It like holds up even for little
it
kids
does.
now.
so
They
Yeah.
were like, it was awesome. It was just like, it's such a great movie. I don't think I could get them to sit through 5 minutes of Halloween. I don't think they have the attention
Well, and
span
Robert
for
Shaw's performance, like going back to
Oh.
it, I watched it recently, and when I saw him, he's so freaking good. Like his those scenes, I'm like when he's telling his stories, I was just
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
like every beat he takes is so intentional and so perfect and so subtle. I'm like, yeah, he's amazing in it. I mean, they're all amazing, but he particularly.
absolutely.
yeah, fantastic film. I hope you guys can hear me. It seems like we're
Yeah.
having lots of technical issues, and we may have lost Ben. Let's see. Well, thank you all for coming on. I want to respect your time today. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know that Catnip will be filming very soon, starting in 2 weeks, perhaps. Do you have a sense now when it will come out? Are you aiming for the Christmas season 2025, or is it too soon to say?
It should be completed and ready for, well, for us for Halloween, and then for everybody else by Christmas.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna have probably like a premiere screening for Halloween, probably in the Los Angeles area if I had to pick a city, and then it will come out for Christmas.
Very cool. Well, we can't wait to see it. Apologies for Ben having to drop, but he was losing his connection. Lastly, how can folks find you on social media if you want fans to find you? And if not, that's totally fine too.
No, I made a face because I'm so inept with it, but mine is Brooke Bundy fan page. But
Okay.
I just really have a hard time answering, and I'm not ignoring the wonderful people that come on it. It's just that it becomes a source of anxiety and frustration for me. So Tiff does a lot of the posting for me because I'm
Okay.
like, I get freaked out.
And I'm a
Okay.
Tiffany Helm fan page on Facebook.
Excellent. And
So
I
I have
can.
an Instagram too, but it's more personal. It's mostly pictures of my dog and stuff. So but for any like horror stuff, anything pertaining to any acting I've done or about to do, it'd be Tiffany Helm fan page on Facebook.
Excellent. We can put that in the description. And Nyle, how about you?
Well, for Catnip, it's Catnip the movie on that's the Facebook and the Instagram, and then for myself, it's at Small Town Pictures on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, we are very excited for Catnip. Congratulations on making it happen.
Thank you.
Keep us updated on your film. We can't wait to see it. And I guess lastly, if you are watching this, like and subscribe because it helps our channel. And thank you, Brooke, Tiffany, and Nyle for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Good. Yes, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.